Thank you very much. Gentleman from California, Mr. Lundgren.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I would just say that it's too bad it takes a royal screw-up for us to regain the urgency we need about security in this country. I wish the press were as attentive to the issue of the sunsetting of 3 major provisions of the Patriot Act that will occur at the end of this month unless we act on it, including the lone wolf provision, which the Judiciary Committee deemed should be dropped on the very day that we had a lone wolf attack, a domestic lone wolf attack in Fort Hood. I hope we don't have to have a royal screw-up with respect to security in a larger sense for us to get the attention of the media on something like that. Let me just ask you, Mr. Director, first of all, from your testimony, you do not make up the list of the invitees, correct?
That is correct.
The White House does?
Yes, sir.
You vet the names given to you on that list, correct?
That's correct.
So that your office, your officers are not responsible for the list and would not know why someone is on the list or not on the list from a invitation list rather than a vetting situation, correct?
That would be correct.
So it seems to me it would be logical, it would be helpful to have someone from the White House with your personnel at the time the decision is made when someone presents themselves to the White House who's not on the list.
Yes, sir. I believe there's an acknowledgement of that.
So let me ask you. You said there was a decision made beforehand that that would not be the case here. Was that your recommendation?
Sir, that was a recommendation that we made together.
Well, so it was your recommendation.
It was a joint recommendation.
Why would you make that kind of a recommendation?
You know, sir, we looked through the issue of last week. We sat down, we talked about this, and when I say my recommendation, we had our people get together with the White House staff. They looked at the events surrounding last week.
Sir, I don't need to know the process. I want to know why. That's the question. Why would you or members of your staff decide that it would make sense not to have somebody from the White House at both of those, well, at however many points there were, with your personnel?
I mean, why do we make the decision that there was nobody? I'm sorry, sir.
Why would you make the recommendation? Why did you make the recommendation? You said it was a shared recommendation. Why did someone from the Secret Service decide that made sense?
I believe in looking at what happened last week. We had, again, sir, we have done this with not only this administration, but with previous administrations where we have taken the responsibility for that list. This is the first time that we had a breakdown based on our people accepting that responsibility.
Okay. So it has been done in the past?
Yes, sir.
Has it been done when you have a state dinner?
As I mentioned earlier, I don't know that, but I'd be more than happy to get that information.
So you don't know whether it has ever been done when you've had a head of state of a nation that's been the subject of a recent terrorist attack?
I do not know that.
I would just say, for the record, if your folks made that recommendation, if you made that recommendation, it is inconceivable to me why you would do that. All you need to do is to have someone from the White House standing there. That's too much to ask. That's what they're supposed to do. Frankly, I don't understand it.
I'm misunderstanding that. Are you saying, did we make the recommendation 2 weeks ago during the planning period that would be there by ourselves?
Yes, that's the question I just asked you.
Sir, no. And I apologize. As I said, they had a planning meeting prior to that event.
I understand. I'm just asking whether your folks made the recommendation that ought not to be, that you ought not to have someone from the White House there.
Sir, I don't know who made the recommendation. All I know is in the planning, an agreement was made that we would take that list and that there'd be other individuals available from the White House staff who would respond to that checkpoint to help with any discrepancy.
Okay. I'm just trying to ask, did that come from your side of the House?
I don't know that.
Will your investigation reveal that?
It will.
Okay. You talked about layered security. I'm an absolute believer in layered security, but the fact of the matter is here, one of the layers was not there, correct?
I would say, sir, that the protocol was not adhered to.
Okay. Well, I'd say one of the layers was not there.
I would say that there was a breakdown in that layer.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
You say human error repeatedly. You said procedures are not followed. You said it was unacceptable, and you said it was indefensible. Normally, when you have an organization where you have a screw-up like that, there are consequences that flow from that. And what I mean by that is this. The only way you're going to assure that you don't have screw-ups in the future, and you've said it yourself, we can't afford to have a screw-up. Doesn't matter how many millions of people go through, you can't afford to have a screw-up. Or, as has been said many times, terrorists only need to be successful once. We have to be successful all the time. The consequences, after the review takes place, are there going to be consequences for people who made the human error? Or are we just going to shrug our shoulders and say, well, it was human error?
Sir, right now, the individuals who have been identified have been put on administrative leave, and beyond that, I would prefer not to go further, but I will tell you that we are going to look at this. We're going to find out what the culpability was, and we'll take the appropriate action.
Thank you.